Hey, you tired of paying hidden fees for heating and cooling services? Well, look no further than Straight Shooter Heating and Air and Cooling. At Straight Shooter, we understand the importance of quality and dependability. That's why we offer 1-hour appointment windows, no diagnostic fees, no dispatch fees, just straight up honest service you can trust. Call Straight Shooter Heating and Cooling today, 619-922-3937. for your $17.76 AC tune-up. No bull, just cool. Or book online at straightshooter.ac. That's straightshooter.ac.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you have an air conditioner, hopefully you've called them by now. If not, give them a call. $17.76 for them to come out and make sure that your AC is tuned up.
How much hotter do you need? Hello?
We're right at the beginning. It's going to be a nice, hot summer. Please get your tune-up and help support a group that's supporting us.
And we have business cards.
Oh, yeah, you do. Well, it's two-sided there. See, it's on the back?
Oh, gun safety.
How about that? Gun safety on one side.
You want some?
No, I got a trunk full.
You want some there?
I'll take some.
Okay.
Okay. Get your gun prom tickets at gunprom.com. Fed up with California legislators favoring criminals? Then join us at Gun Prom with your SDCGO, where fun means raising funds to protect your. It's easy for me to say, right?
No, you should.
Like, let me just break this down.
Yeah.
Gun Prom's going to be really fun this year. It's casino night. You might win a gun. You're going to have all kinds of fun. There's going to be bars and food, and there's not going to be a lot of long speeches because we want you to come and do some of the gaming with us. You buy an individual ticket for $175, and you get a gaming chip for $100. Mm-hmm. And then, depending on how much you win, you could turn that in and possibly win a gun. There's going to be all kinds of coolness going on. So please go to gunprom.com and buy your ticket today. $175, and that's on October 16th.
And even if you don't win, you have helped a cause that'll help you.
We're raising money. We need
Don't look like you're going to come down there and, we're like the casinos.
We are the casino.
Yeah,
it's casino night.
Hey, they weren't built by the rich. They were built.
I know. Listen, man. San Diego County Gun Owners is the.
I've seen you gamble. You're so lucky.
No.
You're gonna put our group into the.
Well, I'm gonna be running around shaking babies and kissing hands. This is my job. I'm not gonna be able to gamble, but. Our pack is the blue collar Joe Lunchbox, Jane Lunchbox pack, man. Right. We don't have a bunch of rich people that are funding it. This is your opportunity to be a part of the process. When you look at politics and you go, everybody's bought and sold. Okay, well, step up, buy your gun prom ticket, be a San Diego County Gun Owners member, and help us go toe-to-toe with the rich folks.
I'm telling you. And Alicia's coming as a flapper.
Are you?
I just might.
I think she'd be cute as a button walking around.
Wait till you see. We actually have. We're going to have showgirls.
See,
wait till you see.
Is Alicia going to be in charge of them? Come on.
I hear that gambling's illegal in Africa. Too many cheetahs.
Hey ho!
I like the look on your face.
Like, where's he
going with this?
You never know what's coming out of Brendan.
No, you don't.
Okay, so the 11% tax, if you did not see...
Boo.
Yeah, boo. But I'll give you a reason to yay. This is pretty interesting. So there is a lawsuit, and it is the James case. Danielle James is actually the named plaintiff, and she is a San Diego County Gun Owners member. You may have seen her at Poway Weapons and Gear. She pretty much runs the place over there, and she's the named plaintiff. She on July 1st. So why did it take so long? Why didn't they file a lawsuit 6 months ago?
They didn't have damages.
They didn't have damages, so they had to wait for it to be implemented. So July 1st, it went into effect. Danielle went to purchase a firearm, and she was damaged by the 11% tax. They charged her an 11% tax. So this is pretty interesting. The people who have filed the lawsuit, it's not just Firearms Policy Coalition, but it's Firearms Policy Coalition, Second Amendment Foundation, NRA, and CRPA. I can't remember a time when all four were on one lawsuit. Usually they, one does one lawsuit, the other does similar, and they are in different parts. Well, they came together and filed a lawsuit all together, which I think is a good thing. It's very, very amazing. So Hopefully they'll get the injunction. Hopefully we'll win. But as everybody knows, lawsuits, $500,000, $1 million, and years. So this, there'll be motions, there'll be, judgments, there'll be appeals, there'll be, the important thing to do is be the ounce of prevention so that we don't have to get 100 pounds of cure. The lawsuit's 100 pounds of cure. Be the ounce of prevention. Join us, unless you're the plaintiff or the attorney, there's really nothing for you to do, or the judge, but donate to Firearms Policy Coalition. They took the donate to all of them. They took the lead on this, and they're the tip of the spear, and I'm glad to see the NRA's doing some things. It looks, I don't want to get into details because I don't really firsthand know a lot of the details, but it does look like NRA is starting to kind of come back from the doldrums.
Where'd they go?
Well, they were having a look internal, They had to, half their board quit or whatever. It didn't look good for them.
Well, it's because they weren't supporting their constituents.
Well, so anyway, I'm glad to see them on this case. I'm glad to see Second Amendment Foundation and, of course, CRPA, but Firearms Policy Coalition, thank you so much for taking the lead on that. So we got some cool stuff coming up, man. You want to hear a funny story, though, real quick?
Oh, absolutely.
So this has nothing to do with guns, but it's a funny story. So I was at the gym, and I see this guy, and he's got a tattoo, and it was very interesting. And I thought it almost looked, I thought maybe it was like Egyptian or something. So I went up and commented on it, and he goes, oh, yeah. And he said it basically, it was one of the, not the main worm from Dune, but one of the monsters from Dune.
Yeah.
And I'm going, geez, God, it's been a while. I said, what? You're way too young for Dune, because this kid had to be 20, and I'm like, you're way too young for Dune. And his girlfriend said, oh, no. They just remade it, and there's a whole series. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a whole Dune revival.
Oh, yeah, and everybody's into it, all the kids.
And I thought, man, that's amazing. I look at these two, and I think, and honestly, it was the first time, I'm 48 years old, and it was the first time in my life I looked at them, and I thought, God, look at how beautiful these two are. I don't mean physically. They were physically, but they were so young and vibrant, and it was the first time in my life. And they're talking about something that I remember from when I was a kid, but it's a whole new thing now. And it was the first time in my life I was truly envious of youth. And I'm looking at these two and just thinking, oh my God, like look at them. Like they're talking about Dune, and their faces are lit up, and they're just, and I think like they don't, all the regrets they don't have yet, all the mistakes they haven't made yet, they're probably, their back probably doesn't hurt,
That's so funny.
And I'm sitting there talking to this guy, and then it kind of hits me. I look again at I don't have any tattoos either. That's a regret I don't have.
Me either.
And all of a sudden, and I go through this little, I don't know, a couple of minutes or whatever of envying their youth. And then it hits me that I'm actually really happy being 48 because I don't have the youth anymore.
Right.
But I definitely have the wisdom.
That goes a long way.
Yeah, well, the wisdom, though, to not get a monster from a movie tattooed on my arm.
Boy, you have no idea.
Well, you know what they say about tattoos?
What?
Hepatitis and a lifetime of regret.
Say what?
Hepatitis and a lifetime of regret.
Yeah, let's end on that.
Yeah. What are you doing in there, Mr. Music Man?
I hit the wrong button.
That's all right.
Don't start.
He
with
got
it.
excited.
Hey,
Yeah.
so our next guest, though, coming up is really, really interesting. His name's True, and we're going to talk about some of the struggles he's going through with his gun rights. So I'm really looking forward to talking to True. I've been looking forward to this interview for a while. So there you go.
All right. Hey, if you ever have legal matters that involve firearms, you need California's best firearms lawyer, and that means John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws, so put his number on your phone right now, 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon, California firearms lawyer, 760-642-7150. Put his number on your phone right this minute.
So True has a very interesting story, and we're going to talk to him about it, but I wanted to set it up a little. Something that we've talked about on the radio a few times is, when should someone's gun rights, or if someone's gun rights should ever be taken away? If you're a felon, right now, there's two kinds of people in the world. You're either a prohibited person or you're not a prohibited person. And if you're a felon of any kind, you're a prohibited person, but there are other ways to be a prohibited person. And it's an interesting question. You know, should someone who what if they didn't commit a violent crime? What if it was a white collar crime? Should they lose their rights? You know, what if they committed a nonviolent crime and it's been 10 years? Should they get their rights back? And the other thing we talk about is just how many gun laws, especially states like California and New Jersey and Illinois have. And I've even written an op-ed on how all these gun laws and the way they are disproportionately used against minority communities is the exact definition of institutional racism. That op-ed appeared in the Union Tribune. Basically said, hey, everybody's talking about institutional racism. Here's what they do. Here's how they define it. And by that definition, gun laws, particularly in California, meet that.
They printed it?
Oh, yeah. They printed it. Of course, man. So they never called me back after that, though. So. But so I heard True's story, and we're gonna talk to True, and he's got a bunch of interesting things going on. But I wanted everybody to kind of keep that in mind. So, True Khepra, how are you, sir?
I'm doing excellent, and it's an honor and privilege to be on this show. I'm so grateful for all the work that you're doing.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. I think your story is extremely interesting. Okay, so first, let's start with, let's kind of bounce around a little bit, and then we'll bring her on all home and tie it all together. But what is your interest in the Second Amendment, or specifically being a gun owner? Why do you want to be a gun owner?
You know, it's pretty simple, and the answer is probably very boring. It's just to protect my family and to protect myself, especially given the situation that our certain society that's in now. It's simply to protect myself and my family.
Purely,
that's it.
Sure.
You know, and let me get. I'm sorry to cut you off. Let me say this. Let me get some background on that too. I'm a martial artist. You know, I'm a Muay Thai practitioner. I'm a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm pretty decent with knives. So this is something that I'm just passionate about. I think also, not to say that gun ownership is just for men, but I think that being a man, that it's also my masculine responsibility to protect myself and family. Just wanted to add that.
Well, and the other thing, and of course, you're actually getting your wife into Second Amendment and gun ownership as well, right?
She is. Yep. She's starting to see it now. You know, when you look at what's going on in society, you can't really deny it.
How would you describe what's going on in society?
I think that, number one, if you look at how all the illegal immigrants are here and the type of stuff that you're doing, and let me say this before anybody starts to think something. I'm a first-born generation in this country. So you're talking to someone whose parents are not from this country, but my parents came, they did it the right way. My father's a veteran. You know, my mother went through the proper channels and protocols. And so when you look at what's going on in society in terms of like the illegal immigrants, and then before that, how they're basically like letting criminals go. And let me say that I myself was once considered a criminal, you know, because I used to be a drug dealer. But not that I'm making up excuses or saying one is better than the other, but I didn't do stuff like, you know, rob people or put guns, you know, like I wasn't into violent crimes. That wasn't my thing.
Okay, so
my thing was just selling drugs.
Yeah, and that's actually where we were going. Before we get there, though, so you were convicted on a drug charge, a nonviolent drug charge, and that made you a prohibited person. And where we're going with this is, True's going to talk a little bit about his journey at getting his gun rights back. But before we get too far down the road, one of the other things that we talked a little bit about was, you know, there was a very practical want to defend yourself, defend your family. But then you also talked a little bit about how, you know, it's a right, you know, and that you don't want to give up any of your rights, that it was important to you to recover, you know, the ability to exercise a right. And I thought that was very touching. I don't know if you want to touch on that or correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, just to say, and this goes deeper than just guns, right? I'm in the medical field. I'm an X-ray technologist by trade, and I'm not allowed to work in certain hospitals. Actually, I'm not allowed to work at hospitals at all because of their just their laws and stuff. So it's not even just about gun ownership for me. It's also just about like, I paid my debt to society. I haven't committed any crimes since I'm 44 years old. The last time I got charged with anything was in 2006. It was a disorderly conduct charge, which is a misdemeanor. So we're talking about close to 20 years of me walking a straight line, and I'm a mentor to the youth. I speak at schools, so that's what I'm speaking about. But yeah, absolutely, it's just about like when is it enough? Like what has to be done?
So
and again, I'm not playing victim. I understand that I have to pay for my choices, and I've done that.
Well, let's talk about your choices. By the way, True, did all this happen? You're from New Jersey, right?
Yeah, I'm from Paterson, New Jersey. Did
all this happen in New Jersey, or did it happen in another state?
Everything happened in New Jersey. Yep.
Okay.
In Paterson.
So let's talk about your choices. Let's talk about how did you grow up? You were in New Jersey. What was the environment when you were growing up?
It was. So I grew up in a typical hood environment. A lot of poverty around me. My mother, she worked, and I always say when I speak to the youth, I always say that my mother raised me right. A lot of my choices were influenced, and I'm not making up any excuses, but they were influenced by poverty. And I know that poverty is relative, right? Me being poor in comparison to, let's say, someone in Calcutta, India, is a totally different story. But nonetheless, just really the financial situation. And so, yeah, and then, so I was growing up, and you see drug dealers, the older dudes was around me that was making money selling drugs. And so eventually I was like, I want in. That's what I saw around me. It seemed like easy money. It's not really easy money. Some people think it's easy money, but it's really not when you when you consider the things that you have to go through. Like I've been in shootouts, fights, of course, and just, robbed. I've been pistol whipped, left for dead, all types of things. So it's not easy money.
I mean, I think that when you say that, it sounds so. There are so many people listening to this where that sounds so foreign. Like you kind of rattle it off like, hey, I've been in a shootout and I'm pistol whipped and blah. Almost like it was, you know what I mean? For you, that was your life. That was your normal life. But it's so foreign to so many people. So how old were you? Like, when did this happen? When you were 10? When you were 15? Like, talk a little bit about how did this come about? Like, you're young. You're in a neighborhood. Your parents didn't have a lot of money, and the neighborhood was a rough neighborhood. And you step outside your front door, and there are drug dealers, all over the place. But talk a little bit about what was the transition from being a young man to becoming a drug dealer?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the transition is basically, watching my mother struggle and not being able to do things that I wanted to do. And when I say that I wanted to do, it wasn't like nothing spectacular, but just basic things and not being able to do it. Now, not having much clothes and things like that, you start to look at, okay, what else can I do? And so, like, I used to work for a youth program called PIC, which is a part of Paterson. It's a community-based program. I did that, and, you really don't get that many hours doing that. And then in Paterson, it's a city. It's a city similar to, like, of a city, like Newark, I would say. So a lot of people are familiar with Newark. So it's a city. So within the city itself, there aren't many job opportunities for a young man who's just striving to do the right thing and get money. And, just earn an income just to help. And I really wanted to help my family, wanted to help my mom. And so all the jobs, you had to take buses and things like that. And so I just said, okay. I started selling weed at first, so I started off with selling weed, and I actually started selling weed in California.
When you were okay, so when you're talking, you're like 14, you're 15 years old, you're in high school.
Oh, my age? Yeah, I was in high school.
You're in high school. your mom's struggling. You just want probably some of the basic things that a high school kid wants, but there's probably some basic needs that aren't being met too. I mean, you probably went to, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably went to school cold because you didn't have a brand new jacket. You probably went to bed hungry because you didn't, there wasn't enough to eat that day or whatever. I mean, right? I mean, some of your basic needs were probably not being met.
Right. I did have a jacket, that I will say, but definitely many hungry days. You know what I mean? Like, and if it wasn't hunger, it was like you would eat like bread and like peanut butter. And by the way, I'm not complaining. It's food.
Right.
It's food. Let me just say that it's food. And so, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm using that as an excuse. What I'm saying is that those things influenced my decision making. And so then, I would come outside and I would see, the older dudes on the block. That's what we call it, block. We go by blocks. So you see the older dudes on the block, and they have money, they have cars, they have jewelry. And after a while, man, I became weak, and I will call it that. I became people because I had friends that grew up the same way. Like I have a very good friend of mine whose father was murdered when he was 8 years old, and his mother was a drug addict. And he never got into the streets. He never sold drugs. So, some people, they like me, they break, so to speak, and some people don't. And I was one of the ones that broke. And so I just started to get into the lifestyle and started to just inquire about, what can I do to get what's the game, the slang term for it is in the game.
Okay, let's do a commercial real quick, and then I want to finish on the other side.
Okay.
Hey, you want to learn to fly?
Yeah.
Well, you can get a pilot's license super easy. San Diego is one of the best places to get your airplane pilot's license because pilots can fly almost every day. And San Diego Flight Training International is the best school to get your license. Call them at 858-569-1822. You can or go to Learn to Fly with STFTI, 858-569-1822.
Okay, so True, we were talking a little bit about your upbringing, your neighborhood. So the first time, or when you started to, sell, I think you said marijuana or whatever, what was it like? Like the first time you started doing it, was it a thrill? Was it scary? Was it, like, thank God I'm going to get some money now? Or like, talk a little bit about that.
It was scary. It was actually very scary, and I remember really saying, really just questioning, what am I doing? Because I knew it was wrong, and I knew I wasn't supposed to do it. But at the time, I just saw it as, no alternative. And, what I was mentioning, too, is when I went to the older brothers in the neighborhood, a lot of people may look at them as they're staring us, people who were younger, the wrong way, but they're actually thinking in their mind helping. They're helping someone. I'm not saying everybody has that mindset, but I just want to say that because I think that a lot of people who are foreign or don't know the lifestyle think that we are monsters because of what we did or what we do, and that's really not the case in all situations. I do believe that there are people that are nasty, and but that's not always the case.
So it wasn't like in the movies where some guy grabs you and says, "You better sell this, or I'm going to beat you up and kill your mom." It was,
I think True. I think they actually. But don't you kind of look at when they were looking at the younger kids, they actually needed them to help sell the weed. So you don't want to be. You want to show them the right way to do it. So you got a productive. Because whether it's weed, walnuts, or toilet paper, it's just a product that you guys are trying to sell to make a living, right?
Right. But but at first, what they're doing first, they're telling you to go to school. Like, nah, you don't want a part of this. It's dangerous. You should stick to school, go to school. And then once you keep coming back, like, nah, I want in. They're like, okay, and then they teach you the ropes.
Right. So how long did you do that before you got caught and convicted? How long did that go on?
Eventually, so I went from selling weed to eventually selling crack. And that went on, I want to say, until maybe 2003. I caught a big drug charge. I was facing 10 years. And then I went back to selling weed again. And so I did that until like maybe 2005 or something like that, and then I left the game. Once I got my degree, I got my associate's degree, and I had a different ways to feed myself and my family because by then I had a family. I left the game alone.
Okay, so cops caught you. You went to court. You were convicted. What did you go to jail, or what was your punishment?
No, so basically I was put on probation because at the time I was in school and I always kept a job and stuff like that. Like I checked the boxes because when you don't have things like that, they look at you as you're just like a menace to society, like you have nothing going on for yourself. Another thing is too, I had lawyer money. You know, I was smart enough to know that you need lawyer money, that, you know, you're going to get caught eventually. Mm-hmm. And so I had lawyer money, so I was able to pay the lawyer fees. You know, it's a big game. And because of that, I got a probation, never went to prison or anything like that. Wow. I did like small jail time, like a few days, but I always had enough money to bail myself out and fight the case.
So did you end up with a felony, or what made you a prohibited person?
Yeah.
It was a felony.
Yeah,
they said, okay, you're a felon.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a felon, but I never went to prison.
How hard was it to walk away? Because, you know, you hear the stories that once you're in the group, there's no way you can walk away. We're going to have to kill you.
It wasn't hard at all. That's some movie stuff. And plus, like, I never joined a gang. Maybe that's for people who are in gangs.
Yeah.
But where I'm from, it's all about blocks. It's more or less about what block you're from, and the block that you're from is the block basically where you live at.
Right.
And so I was like I was considered like somebody big in the game. I would say I wasn't like no small punk or nothing like that. So couldn't nobody tell me nothing. So when I decided to go, I was actually applauded and congratulated. To this day, a lot of my peers from that lifestyle, they look up to me and they always congratulate me for making the choices that I did. You know, that's another thing that's different too. Like people make it seem like people want to keep you down. No, my friends applauded me. You know, they were celebrating me when I was going to school and when I got my degree. It was a big thing. You know, they felt like I did something that they either want to do or can't do.
Right.
So I made it out.
What was your degree in?
Mm-hmm. I have an associate's degree in applied science with a specialty in radiography.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you get out of there. You actually start, doing. After you get your degree, Did you get a job in your field, or?
Yep. Yeah. It took a long time though. Like everybody I graduated with, they got jobs because they were able to just go straight into hospitals. But luckily and fortunately, I met a man who gave me a chance, who's no longer living. His name is Scott Kearns. Rest in peace, Scott Kearns. You know, because back then, I'm showing my age right now. You still had to meet, like when you did an interview and you submitted your application and resume, you did it in person. So I was able to really sit in front of Scott and really just let him know, like, listen, that's not who I am. It's a mistake. I was really having a conversation with him about life. And he was a supervisor at the time. And he was like, yeah, I get it. No problem. You were young. You did something dumb. And he gave me a chance. And because of that, you know, it changed the trajectory of my life.
What about for, I don't know, lack of a better term, your mentality? Was there a mentality change, or did getting busted kind of, was it a wake up call, or talk a little bit about that?
There was a few things going on. So in the middle of everything that was going on, I was also starting to read books and learning about Black empowerment. You know, what it means to be an intelligent Black man, what my ancestors went through and stuff like that. And so my mind started to shift. You know, I learned about like how the government put crack cocaine in the communities and how the projects was created. And I started to see like, wow, like I'm falling into the trap of a design here. And so, I started to shift my mind, started to like really just want to become more of a positive person. So reading books played a huge part. Also, the birth of my daughter, my first daughter, when she was born, I just knew, number one, I did just as a man, I wanted to be in her life. And I knew that if I continued on the path that I was going, that I would be either locked up facing a lot of years, because the judge that saw me already told me, like, listen, if you violate your probation, you're doing the whole 10. So,
Wow.
so I knew that I would either go to prison and I wouldn't be in her life, or that I would eventually get killed. There's two ways out. Like, that's real, like the movies. There's three ways out, right? Because I made it out, really. But the high probabilities of getting out is either through prison or death. And I knew that. And so I was like, yo, it's time. Because now it's no longer about me. At the time, I didn't really care about my life, but I cared enough about my daughter's life to change my life for her.
So today you have kids, you have a wife, you have a career,
Indeed.
you have
Own property, everything.
You give back to the community. I know you wrote a book.
Yes.
You like you were talking how you talk to the kids, and try to help them. So at some point you decided, hey, I want to try to get my gun rights back. Take us through that journey.
Yeah, so really, it's around the time that I started to think more conservative, and I laugh at myself because I can't believe I'm even saying those words, because in the community that I come from, you're sort of like brainwashed and programmed that you're supposed to be like liberal or Democrat and whatnot, and if you're not that, then you're following like the racist white man's way. And so, but I realized as I started to really just, number one, diverse group of people, just by the nature of how I'm living in the business that I'm conducting now, I started to realize, like, you know what? Their values are actually are very aligned with how I think and how I want to live my life. And so that's when I started to discover like gun ownership and then just things like that. But I've been going to the gun range with friends of mine who didn't live the street life and had their right to bear arms and have guns themselves. I've been going to gun ranges with them, and I just think that is always important. You could say as soon as I became a parent, that's it. Like the desire to want to protect my family.
But what do you actually? How do you? I don't even know this. I don't think I've ever met anybody who's who was a felon and got their rights back. So what's the actual, what's the process there? How do you do that?
So you have to file for an expungement, but that is, so let me tell you about that. So with me, let me answer your question. The way that you can do it is by filing an expungement.
Okay.
And then if the state deems that it's okay for your record to get expunged, then you can go apply. But I'm having and it's not only me. There's a class act lawsuit going on in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So to give you an idea of what's happening, I filed for my expungement in December 2020. I didn't get the order back until August 2023, and then I waited. Figured, okay, let me give it some time. And then in February, I went to get fingerprinted. Not even for like getting my firearms. For really, I was just exploring a new opportunity for employment, and my record came back, and I was like, what's going on? And that's when I realized
it's still on there. You're still a prohibited person.
Everything.
Okay, but at some point, a judge reviews your case. You give them a bunch of information, and the judge makes the decision. Okay, you know what? We're going to expunge this, and you're not you won't lose your rights anymore. And like you were saying, New Jersey, we're seeing is, and there's even there are a couple of versions of this. New Jersey is really, really slowing down expungements and CCWs and all kinds of things, and it's hard to tell whether it's incompetence or malfeasance, because New Jersey is definitely one of those states that is extremely anti-gun. So let me ask you, we only have about another minute here. In a minute, do you think society is served by making sure that you never own a gun again, or do you think that no, it's a better place if in the United States and New Jersey if you get to own a gun? Actually, let's go to the commercial. Think about that. Let's go to commercial. I'll have you answer it on the other side.
All right. Hey, by the way, folks, if you're on YouTube and you see the little donate button, a little yellow button up to the right, smack on that, and you could put any denomination you like, and that's to help San Diego County gun owners go farther down the road to protect your rights. Hit that little yellow button. Hey, Mike White, you're the man. Thanks for donating. at whopping $10 on YouTube, and everybody else can do it as well. Let's see how many people can beat Mike White to help San Diego County gun owners move forward. Hey, if you want gear at an affordable price, check out Condor Outdoors. Whether you're a military professional, law enforcement officer, or simply an avid outdoorsman, Condor products are designed to be versatile, durable, and above all, reliable. Plus, you'll look really good in Condor. So if you're looking for the best in tactical gear, look no further than Condor Outdoor. Use code GOR for a 15% discount off the website. That's condoroutdoor.com. Don't forget, use the code GOR for a 15% discount.
Okay, true. So my question before we went to commercial was: is it a better society if you're able to exercise your Second Amendment rights?
Yes.
Tell us why. We'll give us a little back. Like, what makes you say that?
Well, I think because if we look at if you look at the crime and the negativities that happens in society, it's never the gun owners. You know what I'm saying? It's never the people who own guns legally. It's people who don't own guns legally that are causing all the havoc. So I think it will be a better society because if everybody has the right to bear arms and that their homes are protected, then I think that it'll be less likely that someone will try to impose on them or act aggressive towards people, especially the innocent.
You've proven yourself. You're now one of the sane, trained, law-abiding gun owners out there that commit far fewer crimes than the general population, far fewer crimes than all kinds of different subgroups, and so hey, yeah, you should be able to defend. It's a better place if you're able to defend yourself and your family and your wife and act as a role model to those behind you, right?
Yeah, and hey, listen, my wife and I we're planning on doing that. We're just waiting a couple years, just waiting for my youngest to get a little older, and then we're moving to a red state ASAP.
All right, well, cool. Well, True, can't thank you enough. Very interesting interview. You got anything you want to promote? You want to drive them to your website or anything?
Yeah, no, I just want to say that you can find my book. It's called The Power of Choice. You Are Not Stuck by True Khepra on Amazon. Just go on there, go to the search button, and look for The Power of Choice by True Khepra. And I would really appreciate it. And not only will it help support my family, but it'll help me in investing in the purpose and the mission and some of the stuff that I'm doing within the community to help prevent some of the youth to repeat some of the mistakes that I did.
Cool. Thank you, True. Appreciate your time, man.
And by the way, True, it's really sad when we won't see you in California.
Because we're not a red state.
Yeah, no, I'll come visit you, but that's it.
We'll meet late at night behind the 7-Eleven.
No, I appreciate it.
All right, bud.
See you, True.
We're going to take a quick...
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are. We're taking a quick break. I'm exhausted.
How would you think of that story?
I thought that was an awesome story.
Yeah, it's a true story.
I want to read his book. You should read his book.
I will. So...
I mean, really. I mean, those are the kinds of inspiring stories that would motivate, I would think, younger generations.
I definitely think so. A lot of things struck me here, but there are a lot of stereotypes and a lot of preconceived notions that we have on both sides. Who's a gun owner and who's a criminal? And I got to tell you, I just don't think it serves society. If someone is a violent felon,
right,
and especially if they're a recent violent felon. Again, we don't stand up for the rights of people who aren't sane, aren't trained, and aren't law abiding. So I get that, but a kid who was selling drugs, who's turned his life around 15, 20 years ago.
Here's something that I don't know if you picked up on it.
Yeah.
How'd he get out? He had lawyer money.
Yeah.
How did he get? Hey,
Brandon.
But where do you get lawyer money?
Well, I think he was selling drugs and put some money aside to get lawyer money.
But he was smart enough.
His investment.
He was smart enough to know that he was getting lawyer money, but he still needed to get out.
Well, exactly. I'll tell you, the thing is, and you're hearing things about. There are so many things that are going on in the Supreme Court right now that are good. And people are, if you listen to the opposition, if you listen to people that disagree with us, they keep throwing around the word, tyranny and fascism. But if you look at the decisions in the Supreme Court, it's actually, first off, the reason the Supreme Court changed is because Trump changed it.
Right.
The reason the Ninth Circuit is changing is because Trump changed it.
Right.
And if you look at the decisions coming out, some of the more recent decisions coming out of the Ninth Circuit, if you look at some of the decisions that happened in the Supreme Court, they are taking power away from the executive branch.
Which is what they should do.
That's probably the worst fascism I can think. I mean, if you're a fascist and you're appointing people to take your power away, you're not really all that good at being a fascist.
Yeah, you need to go to school.
So, and it's happening over and over again. It's happening with, they said, hey, the ATF, you guys can't just make laws. That's got to go through Congress.
Well, they're following through with the balance of power. The checks and balances that they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, but see, they're not listening. They're not. It's just like forgiving student debt. It's against the law. The Supreme Court said you can't do it. Nah, I'm going to do it anyway.
Well, but the important thing, okay, step by step. But we're not here to complain about stuff. We're here to point out how great it is that this, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying.
Like, we should be extremely happy. And when you see, I was just watching a podcast where this guy who was very educated, he knew exactly what he was talking about, but he was basically calling the Supreme Court a bunch of fascist, right wing, and hey, you better vote for, you better not get Trump in because he's going to appoint more fascists. And then he's rolling down these decisions, and I'm going, wait a minute, every one of these decisions, he is taking power away from the federal government. He's taking power, more specifically, away from the executive branch.
But the fascists don't want that.
This is good. No, well,
the fascists want the power.
Of course,
it is, and I think it's. And it's like,
how many fascists have survived in the history of the world?
Well,
I mean, don't they look at their history books?
I mean,
fascists never. They end up destroying whatever country they're in.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So if you keep pushing this fascist lifestyle, eventually we are not going to have a
but
country.
it's entertaining that they're projecting on it. They're basically saying, look, all that stuff Biden is doing to his opponent. Well, if you elect Trump, he's going to do it. It's like, well, wait a minute.
He didn't do it the first 4 years.
He didn't do it the first 4 years at all.
And he's better now than he was before because he was a loose cannon before.
And he's appointing judges that are doing the exact opposite of what they're saying. But it's just, to redefine words and to just throw out, terms like fascist and whatever. I mean, and everybody.
There's nothing behind the curtain anymore.
Yeah, really.
I don't think they can spell fascist, much less know the definition.
Well, that's true, too.
I'd like to just poke in really quickly.
Yeah.
We have another thank you to throw out there. Alan Vanley on YouTube has given $50.
Hey,
whoa,
thanks, Alan. Nice
let's
job.
hear it for Alan. He could be your driver.
But there's such a bright light at the end of the tunnel, guys.
But you got to fight.
Well, you got to fight. You can't just, it's not a spectator sport. I mean,
Michael Schwartz will tell you, get off your BUTT and get involved.
That's right, like Alan just did.
Because if you're going to complain, we don't want to talk to you. Like me.
And we could go down the list and down the list. They smacked the ATF and said nope. Yep. The Chevron deference, where they said, hey, the Chevron deference case was kind of the same idea.
Do you want to explain that a little bit? Because I know a lot of people have no idea what that is.
Sure. So in short, there's a very thorough explanation, but in short, back in the 80s, Chevron, there was some, Chevron sued and said, hey, we don't like some of these requirements. Oh. And they said, oh, yeah, but this group of experts, that know better than everybody else that work for the federal government, they get to make the rules. Well, rules have another name. When they're made by government, they're called laws.
Yeah.
And so they were giving deference, right? They were saying, hey, look, the EPA, the ATF, these experts, they get to decide these.
But they weren't real laws because they weren't passed by Congress, right?
Well, that's the thing, is they had all the power of laws, they had all the consequences of laws,
but they weren't laws.
But Congress didn't pass this. So that was this deference that they were giving to the executive branch.
And how long ago did they do this?
It was back. I believe that started back in the 80s.
And the Supreme Court just now figured it out.
hundreds of thousands of dollars and decades of
think?
time. I mean, lawsuits take a lot of money and a lot of time.
Yeah, will you quit saying that?
Well,
10 years,
but
and
it's
$1 million.
another. Yeah, it's another example. So basically, the Supreme Court said no. If it looks like a duck and it
walks like a
if it looks like a federal law and it has the consequences of federal law, then Congress has. So this fascist Supreme Court, extremist Supreme Court, just gave the power of the executive branch, the federal government, back over to Congress, who's elected by the people. There's nothing less fascist than that. Even I got to tell you, I'm going to hit the big button. Even the abortion case, they basically said, hey, look, federal government's out of this.
Yeah, we don't want nothing to do with it.
We're giving our power away, So we're giving this back to the states. We're putting the decision back closer to the people. Decision after decision, thanks to this Supreme Court, thanks to Trump, is absolutely going the opposite direction of fascism and tyranny. But everybody likes their own brand of tyranny. I've said that before. Everybody likes their own brand of tyranny.
I guess.
I mean, Republicans, they hate tyranny unless they want to outlaw drugs.
But it's all about
Democrats hate tyranny unless they want to outlaw guns.
That's right.
And those are just two examples. So
two good examples.
I got to tell you, everybody likes their own brand of tyranny, and there's so much hypocrisy and there's so much projection. Liars calling other people liars. And I mean, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, I enjoyed True's interview a lot. Let's edit that down and put it out in do a little a video of that so that people can listen to it. Yep. True, by the way, did I tell you? He's my cousin. Did I tell you
really?
that?
No, he didn't.
I didn't tell you that? Well, he's married to my cousin.
Does he drive a Jeep?
No. Why
do I think he has
much? No, he's much smarter. She's too smart to get a Jeep, clearly.
Or a Beamer.
There's a lot of Jeeps in New Jersey. New Jersey doesn't feel like a Jeep state. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't even think there's a tree. Right?
No, well, it's the Garden State.
Oh, a lot of grass.
Yeah.
He was selling it. Hey, if you're a gun owner and you need legal protection, even if you do everything right, even if you're 100% justified, you should be prepared for the legal battle after your self-defense battle. That's why you need firearms legal protection. When you join, you get uncapped legal protection for self-defense for a civil or criminal case with a 24/7 hotline. Joining is real easy. Just go to firearmslegal.com, click on the Become a Member, use code GOR for a discount. Enjoy the peace of mind knowing that you are protected if you are ever involved in a self-defense incident. Firearmslegal.com and use discount code GOR.
Subscribe and win. Subscribe to our email list and win some swag. This week's winner is Robert Blos. Robert, just email us at prizes@gunownersradio.com and claim your t-shirt or your hat. If you could please also include the size of your t-shirt, and that will ensure success, like I say every week. Okay, we got some announcements. Hey, so we're doing a new thing. Gun Owners Radio is doing a whole new thing. I don't think you guys even know about this, Dave.
No, we don't. What do we know?
Lead Talks.
Lead Talks?
We're starting Lead Talks. Like it rhymes with TED Talks. See that? But it's lead like a bullet.
Ooh,
I know. Okay. I'm so creative.
You are creative.
Like
it's
it.
like a curtain call.
Yeah, curtain call.
Mike's drops.
Yeah. So Lead Talks is very much, how so they're like on TED Talks, you get an expert and they talk about something that they're passionate about or an expert in.
What they're an expert in.
Right.
You don't sleep much, do you?
No.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is Lead Talks is going to be full of instructors, so that instructors in San Diego and Riverside and San Bernardino and Orange County, they have a place to talk about, it's not an infomercial. It's not like, well, this is the 4 rules of gun safety and I'm going to teach you how to shoot a Glock or a SIG. It's not that. It's, concepts. It's things
you
that
can almost call it an infomercial because it's information.
Well, but it's not. They're not selling their services. They're trying to impart some knowledge on you of something that is unique and not basic, but not necessarily something that you have to be an expert to listen to.
I'd call it Lead Talks.
Good idea, Dave. Thanks.
Rich,
write that down.
Yeah, right. Quick, write that down. Lead Talks.
So tomorrow is the first lead talk.
Okay. Who's going to be on?
Bill Desy from USCCA.
Start with the
No. From USA. What is it?
CCW
USA.
Yeah, but start with the best. That's the way I see it.
There you go. Well, I tell you, man, Bill's been around for forever.
Yeah.
I've known Bill for over a decade. And the instructions were, come up with something that is interesting to people, something they can take home, some real information, so they can get to know him as an instructor, but get to know some concepts that are important for gun owners. So the name of his talk is Your Personal Self-Defense Journey, Finding Your Why and How. So all you got to do is join the live stream at 7 p.m. So every Monday night, 7 p.m., all you got to do is really, the best place to go is go to Gun Owners Radio's Facebook, and it will stream live.
And that's Pacific time, folks, for all you on the East Coast or wherever.
Yep.
Okay.
Or as we like to say, California time.
Yeah. And I see you're doing the next one.
No.
Nope. Phil.
Yeah. Phil's doing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you mean? Who's doing the next one?
How to clean your gun.
Not me. No, that's a whole thing. Okay, so, all right, so Lead Talk, let's wrap that up. So Lead Talks, so tomorrow at 7 p.m. California time, go to Gun Owners Radio's YouTube or Facebook. So that's facebook.com/Gun Owners Radio. If you're not already following us, follow us on Facebook, and you can watch.
How long is it going to run, you think?
Less than an hour.
Okay.
Like,
and then are you going to archive them so they can go to the website?
Yeah,
in case you missed it?
I'm like, talk for about 20, 30 minutes, answer some questions, and let's get on with our night.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Not quick, free, easy, from your desk. I put it at 7 p.m. so that after you're done, you can brush your teeth, go to bed.
Well, that is during Gutfeld.
Gutfeld? What is Gutfeld?
You live in a box.
What do you mean it's during Gutfeld?
We'll have to tell you off air. He's a guy you should watch.
Oh, on Fox, that guy. I'm like, what is that? It's some new. They keep coming. It's like every year they come up with some new holiday. Like, are we celebrating Gutfeld tomorrow?
Yeah, we are.
Like, what is Gutfeld? Is that some kind of Scottish thing?
No, it's a good show, but I put it on I tape it, so it's okay.
All right.
7 o'clock, Tuesday night.
You're going to have to skip Gutfeld. So, all right. How to Clean Your Guns class on Saturday, July 20th at 10 a.m. So that's Saturday, July 20th at 10 a.m. So mark your calendar real quick. July 20th, Saturday, 10 a.m. It's going to be at American Shooters in El Cajon, and it's hosted by none other than Seal One. Those guys are so great.
Right.
Thank you so much, Seal One.
American Shooters, the new gun store over off of 67.
Yeah, relatively new.
Yeah, and Bradley.
Yeah, by
Right
the
next to the
Greek chicken place.
Have you ever eaten there?
Oh, have I?
Is it good?
Good Lord, it's delicious.
Is it really?
Oh, my gosh.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, because we finally...
Said we haven't talked about it for a whole hour.
Dave cracked the seal.
Yeah.
I cracked it. I've been dying to go try it out.
Really? I'll go.
I'll go with you, Dave.
Yeah. I always get their Euro platters. Fantastic. But their chicken is super good. No, you can't... What would you get there?
Chicken.
Okay. Well, I mean, that is the name of the place. So I can't really criticize
I
that. Their chicken's super good.
Is it?
It is. It's pretty
Do
good.
you like tzatziki sauce?
No.
What are you going to...
That's nasty.
What do you... Now I want to go. I want to go get like 10 things off the menu and just watch you.
I'm only going to get one.
I want to watch you try things, though, is what I'm saying.
Oh, no, I never do that.
Okay, so American Shooters in El Cajon, over by the Greek chicken place, hosted by Seal One. Bring your own unloaded and secured firearm.
How many can you bring?
One. Just bring one.
Oh.
Attendees will bring a Seal One attendees will get a Seal One cleaning kit, which is a $40 value.
Do you have to clean it?
They're going to teach you how to clean it.
Oh, they won't do it?
David.
Well, the whole point. It's the whole point of the class. It's not a.
Well,
it's
don't
not
you have to take your gun apart?
It's not a clean gun watching class. It's
But
a
don't you have to
clean
take
your gun
Don't
class.
you have to take your gun apart?
They'll teach you how to
Yes,
do
you
that.
do.
Can you bring your mat so I won't lose all the
Absolutely.
screws and the springs?
So how about we do this? How about we all meet at 6 for dinner at Greek Chicken?
I need more time than that. We might
and
have to
then,
do
all
that.
right, meet at
What time is
5.
this?
5:30 on Saturday.
So the gun cleaning starts at 7. Let's meet at Greek Chicken
At
ahead of
night?
time. At night.
Yeah.
Oh.
I,
I go to bed at
I was going to say that. The look on his face, he's not showing up.
Oh,
for
it is.
that.
Oh, it's 10 a.m. Never mind. I had the 7 in my head from
It is
from
10
the
a.m.
from the
Well, maybe
top.
we go after. We could have lunch there.
That's it. Lunch after.
Yeah. What do you say, Dave?
Yep. I'm going to
All right, let's
I'll
do
bring
it.
you one of my guns to clean.
I'm not taking anybody's gun
Oh, I want mine cleaned. I'm bringing mine.
It's $40. but it's only $30 if you're a San Diego County Gun Owners member. So use code SDCGO2A. Sign up at gunownersradio.com. All you do is click on the sign up button on the homepage. This is actually a really cool thing. You know, even if you think you know how to clean your gun, even if you do, even if you're an expert, you know exactly how to clean your gun, come on down and clean guns with us. You know, $30, support American shooters, support Seal One, support Gun Owners Radio. I mean, you know, you don't even have to get up that early. It's 10 o'clock.
No, 10 o'clock's fine.
Yeah.
Roll out of bed and go.
Yeah, so come on down.
Stay for lunch after.
Clean some guns. Yeah, come
Yeah.
watch Dave
Lunch
eat.
is on Mike.
Just watching Dave eat or try to eat.
You'll love it.
That's worth $30 right there.
A chicken wing, a leg.
I don't think they have
legs.
Yeah, I think it's the only chicken I'm familiar with they have are like the chunks on like a shish kebab.
They do like a whole chicken.
You know?
I bet they do.
Oh yeah, you're right.
do.
They do. They do like a whole chicken. Can you put down a whole
I
chicken?
can eat a whole chicken with 2 slices of white toast.
They
dry,
kill it.
Dry white toast.
They kill it and
Dry
cook
white
it first, though. Is that okay?
Yeah. Perfect, huh? Perfect, huh?
Yeah. Come on down and get the band back together.
Come on, we're getting the band back together.
All right. So listen, we got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. So after the break, I was on OAN a couple of times, talk about some cool things. Yeah. We're going to talk about some other really cool things. I think there's a bunch going on. There was like a splattering of activity in the 2A community over the last month or so. So we'll talk about it.
Hey, Not Me is for women, by women, and is designed to help women with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. And if you're a woman or you know a woman who needs help, have her sign up and we'll give her the help she needs. To sign up, go to notmesd.org.
So, before we go into a bunch of stuff, I mean, because there was the big Raheny case, which we'll talk a little bit about. The Raheny case was, right out of the Supreme Court, and it had to do with people who were prohibited, getting their rights, specifically their gun rights back. And of course, they said, look, if the Raheny case really had to do with a violent crime, though. Well, actually, yeah, Raheny case was a violent crime. I get confused there for a second with another case. And they basically said, hey, look, there is a line. There is a line where you can take Second Amendment rights away. But what do you guys think? What did you think of? First off, I really enjoyed talking to True. I thought that was an interesting interview.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
I thought it was great. I mean, it's nice to get a new, fresh success story.
But do you think somebody who sold drugs 25 years ago and got busted and became a felon, should that person get their gun rights back?
Absolutely. I mean, look what he did. Now, if he sold drugs but got busted, got his gun taken away, and he didn't change his life, he didn't change his direction, and kept doing the same thing he was doing, or maybe not sell drugs, but he was still going down the wrong road, no, he shouldn't get it back. You got to prove yourself.
What do you think?
Like you got to think about it. It's a hard decision. Like, what should the criteria be? Is there a time limit? Is there a specific list of lifestyle changes they need to make? And I don't know what the right answer to that is. But I think the fact that he's willing and he's eager and he wants to take the steps to get the expungement and he's willing to fight for his rights, like that shows a complete change in attitude and lifestyle choice. And I think that says a lot to him too. He's looking to fight things and do things the right way. And I think that says a lot about his character. And I mean, as far as the populace at large, like what should the criteria be? I honestly don't know the answer to that.
And the other interesting tidbit in here is he didn't stop trying, and he ran into people that gave him a chance.
Yeah.
Where if he hadn't have pushed it, if he hadn't have got himself fingerprinted just to see what his, at least he was smart enough to know, let's see what my status is, and he realized he was still, prohibited. He went the legal route, showed it to a judge. I think one of the things I got from it is being face-to-face with somebody. Instead of doing it on a computer or instead of doing it by the phone, he literally was talking to somebody, and I think that has a lot. When you're talking to people, whether they're sincere or whether there's somebody you could believe in, or would you be willing to give that person another shot? And I think his track record had a lot to do with it. I don't remember if he told us when he got prohibited and then how long it took before he got his gun.
So I think he said it was around like 2003, 2004,
up to.
and then became prohibited then, and then he started trying to,
that's right.
get a gun
23. It was 2023.
About a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Okay.
So 50, at least 50, just over 15 years, basically.
Yeah. So
15 years of
but I think
doing
it's
the right thing.
it's probably an individual case.
Well,
what do you think?
I think that one of the reasons I run into this all the time. People say, "Well, gee, if you don't want to lose your gun rights, just don't commit crime." I don't think life's that easy.
Not that easy.
And in some ways it is, but I don't think everyone's life is that easy. And I got to tell you, I get calls all the time. I just got one today, where someone asks a question because they're trying to, comply with gun laws, and they admit to a felony that they didn't know about. And they're like, "Oh, well, here, I'm trying to do this, and so what do I got to do?" And I'm like, "You've already messed up.
Well,
you already got to take 4 steps back."
Look at the guy that we had on last weekend who was harassed and chased by a carload of guys.
Yeah.
He pulled his gun out.
Yep.
They called 911.
Yep.
And look at the hell he had to go through.
But
he never thought he was doing anything wrong.
He wasn't. He did everything absolutely right. In fact, had he done that in other jurisdictions with different district attorneys,
right,
and no San Diego County gun owners,
right,
he might be a felon today.
Well,
he might be sitting in jail and have a felony.
So when you say, "Oh, well, if you don't want your guns taken away, just don't do anything wrong."
Yeah.
Well, how do I know what's wrong and what's not wrong?
I think in 1950, it was probably that easy. Just don't do anything wrong, and you won't suffer the consequences. Things have gotten so ridiculously complicated.
Right.
The other call I get frequently, and we just talked about this, is somebody who isn't a felon but committed some crime, and they're a prohibited person in California.
Right.
Because California has decided, well, gee, these felonies are ruining people's lives, which a felony will ruin a person's life.
Absolutely.
Or I could just say, "Hey, you're a bad person." Get a red flag law thrown on you,
or that, and then
you're a felon.
But so what they started doing is they started passing laws, but they aren't felonies, but they have a lot of the same consequences as a felony. So that's not a solution.
No, it's not.
It's not a solution. Like, all right, well, we're just not going to call it a felony. Okay, well, that doesn't really help.
I don't think that's going to.
So, this whole thing is so complex and so hard to navigate. I mean, some of the smartest people that I know, some of the most successful people I know, have run afoul of laws, and some of them got caught, some of them didn't. And what entertains me is the number of people who call because they're trying to comply with a law and then find out they've already broken laws.
So does that throw fear into being a concealed carrier?
Listen, I'll tell you what it's ever since starting San Diego County Gun Owners, and especially ever since getting my CCW, there's no gray area for me. It's black or white. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to bend this, and they're not going to catch me this time. Nope, none of that. I make sure I follow the law to the letter. Mm-hmm. There have been people who have offered to sell me off-roster pistols, and I've said, nope, not doing that. They basically, It was a law enforcement officer, by the way, who said, I remember what it was. I was telling him how I thought a Jericho was a cool gun, which is you know what a Jericho is?
No, I don't.
A Jericho is, the Israelis took a CZ and kind of zha-zha'd it up, kind of Gucci'd it a little bit.
Okay.
And they called it a Jericho. And so I thought, man, that's kind of a cool gun. And this cop said, well, I'll buy it and we'll do a quick private party transfer. And I'm like, nope, it's not going to happen. I'm not doing it.
Well, I mean, going so far is the guy that we talked to last week.
Yeah.
Who had a legitimate concealed carry permit.
Yep.
Didn't shoot anybody.
Nope. Was attacked. Was in fear for his life.
And almost went to jail.
Didn't go to jail.
He did.
But almost went to jail much longer.
But my point is, do you not have that fear of carrying?
There's a fear I have that I've thought about, and I wonder if anybody else out there has had this fear of witnessing a situation you know,
yeah.
and deciding not to do anything because of
the
that fear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can only legally defend a third party to the extent they would have been legally allowed to defend themselves.
Yes.
So if they
And
lost
even-
their innocence and you don't know.
Even that may not work.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. But I tell you, you ask anybody in the industry, they're going to tell you no. Sorry.
Don't do it.
My permit's for me and mine. You should have gotten your own permit.
Yeah.
Not getting involved.
That's
That
rough.
would be tough.
It's
That's
hard.
rough.
That would be
The reality.
tough. Yeah.
There've definitely been times because I've stepped in on some minor stuff,
Stepped into a lot of stuff.
and it runs through my head. You know, I definitely. On the other hand, I think I've talked to a lot of CCW holders. Alicia, I don't know. Maybe you can relate to this or not. Tell me if you can relate to this. But it's definitely like, you know, like if I think I'm going to get into start like that guy just cut me off, darn it, and I'm like, no, I'll just let it slide. You know,
You absolutely should.
does it make you behave?
It should make you behave. It should make you live a life of de-escalation. That needs to be your new motto.
Yeah, but see, I feel that way.
You know what, but Dave, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I've without thinking about it and putting a term to it, getting a CCW has made me live a life of de-escalation.
And as it should.
Not, you know what I mean? Where it's like before I might, flip some guy off in traffic.
See, I would.
Now I'm like,
I don't do any of the above.
Which, by the way,
I de-escalate. Like we had a guy cut my wife and I off.
yeah.
And then this guy's slamming on the brakes and he's trying to back into us. And my wife says, well, go get him. I go, no, I'm not going to go get him.
Let him deal with his.
She goes, yeah, but I go, unless he hits me, I'm not dealing with this guy. You don't know what he has in that car.
Yeah, I'm too old and
I'm way too
fat
old.
and my back hurts too
But
much.
I can definitely outdrive him. So let's go for it.
That's the other thing, by the way. What we got? Like 2 minutes here.
Yeah.
So I've been driving this 4-door sedan around.
Yeah, looking good.
I'm telling you, I don't know how you people do it. I don't know how you people drive in something that's not a Jeep. People have absolutely no respect for my life in that 4-door sedan.
No. Well,
It is a noticeably different freeway.
model might have something to do with it.
What? The Mercedes. It's like a 15-year-old Mercedes.
But they don't know that. You're driving a Mercedes.
I notice it no matter what I drive. When I'm not driving my Jeep, when I'm driving some kind of like 4-door sedan or whatever, and I'm driving just like a car, regular automobile, people hate the fact that I'm alive.
You got Jeep syndrome.
They do not care about my safety or
You
health.
feel more
in any way.
powerful.
In the
And-
Jeep,
and
they're
could-
just like, nah, go ahead. Just
Yeah, because you'll run over him.
that guy's got nothing to lose.
And he's going to the shop anyway.
Yeah, he's probably. It is really a noticeable difference, though. I'm telling you, I don't think it's my imagination.
You don't have people taking pictures of you?
And no, people taking pictures of me. What are you talking
Hey, he's in a Mercedes, man.
No.
Check
about?
that.
A 15-year-old Mercedes? No.
Hawk 2, he would.
Yeah. It's and I'm a pretty defensive driver.
You're a good driver.
I don't get all aggressive.
No.
I mean, especially I've been trained in that Jeep. You go 2 speeds. You know, slow, and a little slower.
A little slow.
So I just kind of do my thing, and I let people here come on in, merge, whatever.
Well, see, I do that too.
but people hate me.
No, they hate everybody.
But it's not just the Mercedes. I've been in other brands.
Prius customers too.
Well,
Prius drivers.
they don't deserve it.
You really need to cut me off.
They don't. Well, you mean Prius drivers are rude?
Oh,
They are. Prius drivers are this generation's BMW drivers.
without
I
a doubt.
said it.
Without a doubt, right?
I will
here.
stand by that.
You and me both. Hey, do you belong to an association, club, or other organization wrestling with their marketing? Well, most organizations waste a lot of money on marketing because it's so tough managing everything. Websites, social media, e-commerce, emails, and the list goes on. Leave frustration behind with Sage Tree's Fractional Marketing Department Services. They take care of everything: planning, development, advertising, and more. Getting started is real easy. Just visit sagetree.com and click on the Schedule an Appointment button. That's sagetree.com and click on the Schedule a Call button today.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about something in the Cargill case, which we talked a little bit about the last couple of weeks. The Cargill case was the bump stock case.
Right.
And it was pretty interesting to read Sotomayor's dissent. And it was interesting because let me read just a little bit of it. Okay, so the archetypal modern machine gun is the military standard issue M16 assault rifle. With an M16 in automatic mode, the shooter pulls the trigger once to achieve a fire rate of 700 to 950 rounds per minute. An internal mechanism automates the M16's continuous fire so that all the shooter has to do is keep backward pressure on the trigger. Let's see, if the shooter stops putting pressure on the trigger, the gun stops firing. Semi-automatic weapons are not machine guns under the statute. Take, for instance, an AR-15 style semi-automatic assault rifle. To rapidly fire an AR-15, a shooter must rapidly pull the trigger himself. It is semi-automatic because although the rifle automatically loads a new cartridge into the chamber after it's fired, it fires only one shot each time the shooter pulls the trigger. So she goes on to talk about what an AR-15 is and draws a distinct difference between a fully automatic M16 and a semi-automatic AR-15. Talks about how they're different and how they're the same. But the interesting thing is, and I think we might have mentioned it on the air, but I don't think it got nearly enough attention. She talks about how it's a commonly owned firearm. How an AR-15 is a commonly owned firearm, and then you put this bump stock on it, and it's like this evil, mean machine gun, right? Because she was more focused on trying to villainize the bump stock,
right?
And to do that, she had to really unvillainize an AR-15.
Right. In other words, it's a fine gun until you put a bump stock on it.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just common firearm. It's a semi-automatic, just common firearm. Like everybody has one of these, and then you put a bump stock on it, and it's evil, you know? Well, now her words are being used against her.
You think?
For sure. In official documents, they're basically writing to the court and saying, hey, you know, we need to take a look at these assault weapon laws because just like old Sotomayor said, and they're quoting her. So in a dissent, an anti-gun Supreme Court judge basically made the case that, you know, and the reason that's important is the Heller case. The 2008, the Supreme Court had the Heller decision. And one of the tests was it has to be commonly owned. You know, it can't be exotic or weird or whatever. It has to be something common, you know, that people would commonly use. That's one of the tests. So she just basically said...
Achieved.
So has she responded to that?
She hasn't responded, but there was actually...
Was there a slap on the forehead when she...
No.
Man, what did I say?
She hasn't responded, but you know who did was... It was the attorney. I think it was the Attorney General of New Jersey. Mm-hmm. I'd have to look it up, but I think it was the Attorney General of New Jersey who did respond and basically tried to walk it back for her.
You can't walk it back.
Well, you certainly can't walk back a Supreme Court's decision for her.
No,
like this may be your interpretation, but her words are crystal clear.
Yeah, that is so funny.
Well, you know, though it's you know what's the if you choose to deceive, you know, or whatever.
What is that, Alicia?
Basically, these anti-gunners have built this huge web of lies.
Well, yeah, you know what happens when you lie.
Yeah, so
they can't remember all the thread of lies they've already told.
Well, that's my point. Yeah, they just it gets so out of hand, and you still can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
She can't. But the brilliant thing is that they're using it against her. I think it was actually Firearms Policy Coalition. They actually wrote a memo to the court saying, hey, yeah, we agree with Sotomayor. It's commonly owned. But, you know, when you make stuff up and you pretend things are that aren't and you pretend things that aren't that are, you know, and you put all your faith in the lies from these. She quotes the Giffords Group throughout her decision, by the way. As if it's, you know, that's a respectable thing to do, or they're a respectable organization or do anything worth anything. So extremely important thing. It's you know, it's going to continue to be interesting. I think, you know, I'm a big fan of everybody filing lawsuits. I'm a fan of lawsuits. I think I've, in the past, led people to believe I wasn't. But really what I wasn't a fan of, and the reason we invented San Diego County gun owners and Orange County gun owners and Inland Empire gun owners was so that we can do something while they're doing lawsuits, and that people people got to understand, you can't just sit back and wait for a lawsuit to save your life. It's not going to happen. Even if it does happen, it's going to take a lot of money and a lot of years. So, it's not exactly activism, and learning about a lawsuit is not activism. I mean, filing a lawsuit, being the plaintiff in a lawsuit, that of course is activism. That's going to change public policy. I mean, that's what activism is. But we're going to see a very interesting, next 10 years. I mean, at least this is all going to take at least 10 years to shake out.
Right.
So people ask about, well, what's going on with the assault weapons? By the way, the Supreme Court decided not to take any of the assault weapons cases. So there was one in Illinois. There was, of course, Miller here in California. They decided, hey, you know what? We're not going to take it. And when I say they're not going to take it, they're not going to look at it. They're not going to review it. They're not going to do it.
So everything just stays status quo.
Well, kind of.
But they sent it back.
They basically and not Scalia, Justice Thomas basically said, look, there are a few other avenues that you guys have to exhaust before one of these comes to the Supreme Court. So it's a little premature. There are a few
you got
things
more
that
work to do.
A little more work to do. But you need to respect the decisions we've already put out there. So it's kind of a warning, like we're gonna take one.
Be careful.
Yeah, and we're gonna take one too. Was the feeling I got.
Yeah.
But you can't just sit and wait. You got to make sure that in November you get the right people elected.
Oh my gosh. And we're talking down ballots. We're talking everything.
Yeah, and I mean, Gun Owners Radio, we talk a lot about local, which we should, and somewhere, probably our first show in August, we will have, San Diego will have their voter guide out, and then shortly after, Orange County and Inland Empire will have their voter guide out. So we'll have a lot to talk about. But I don't think there's any question, we touched on it already, but there's just no question that whatever you think about Trump and his Twitters and his whatever you even think of the way he ran the executive branch, whatever you think of it, whether you love it or hate it or somewhere in between, whatever, I think it's undeniable that if you're a gun owner, he improved the court system for you.
Yeah.
And then if you go back and look, if we had, if Hillary had won, if Biden had been able to appoint Merrick Garland.
Oh, that one still rubs me wrong.
The guy's horrible.
He's the crookedest.
He's horrible. And
he's so horrible.
How would he have ruled on these? I mean, we got Gorsuch.
I actually like Mitch McConnell for that.
Yeah.
Because Mitch McConnell's the one that stopped it.
Yeah.
He said no.
God rest his soul.
Yeah,
no, he's still alive.
If
he is, he's propping him up in front of him. Anyway, so Gorsuch and what's her name? Amy Coney Barrett, and Kavanaugh. I mean, those three right there. And when you're looking down the road, if the next president is Biden,
well, there's going to be two more
probably two
in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Two more.
Yeah, because Clarence Thomas, pretty long in the tooth.
He's been beat up pretty hard here lately.
And Alito, pretty long in the tooth.
And what's her name? Miss Bumpstock? Or no,
Sotomayor? She's here for a while.
You think?
She's young. But you lose those two seats.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different world.
Right.
It's a whole different world.
And if you think the world's goofy now, if they get conservative judges in there, it's really going to be crazy. Because the left is going to go ballistic.
Well, I just want the makeup to stay how it is, because I want I want somebody just as strict constructionist as Thomas.
I do too.
And I want somebody
but I don't want anybody political.
Well, good luck.
Well, I know, but I like people that read the Constitution for the way it was read.
Exactly, strict constructionist. Sure, that's exactly. That'd be great. But
Did you ever see the movie 1776? It was on the 4th of July.
No, what's it about?
It's a history of some guy in 1776.
It's about World War I.
Yeah, it was. He was driving a tank. Awesome movie if you ever get a chance to watch it.
I'll check it out. But the what's the name? It's not Heritage. What's the name of it? They're using an organization. Basically, Trump said, all right, we need to appoint some judges, but I'm not going to sit here and do it. We're going to turn it over to experts that we like.
Yeah.
and it not the
Wasn't it the Heritage Foundation?
Not Heritage. It's gonna kill me. I can't believe it. I'm getting old. I need to start taking better notes. But anyway, 2 more judges from that organization, like Gorsuch, I would love that. I would absolutely love it. So when you're talking to people and they're on the fence, although I got to tell you, in California, it just doesn't matter. So there's no way. Trump's not going to win in California. There are some states I think he's probably going to win in that are big surprises.
I think he might be a little surprised in California.
Ohio, he's not going to win. He'll probably do better than we think. But states like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Trump might win. They're even talking about Trump winning in New York, which would be pretty amazing.
Well, I mean, all you have to do is look around.
Yeah.
How better you were 4 years ago than you are today?
Well, usually right around now, all my Republican friends are kind of going, well, I guess I'll vote for him, but I'm going to hold my nose. Like Romney. They didn't really like Romney.
Yeah.
They didn't like McCain. Not now. Now they're just like,
okay,
Trump, in. Where do I do this?
Where's the ballot?
With the exception of there's truly some people who normally vote Republican who just have Trump derangements.
Yeah, I know.
And it's just the most bizarrest thing in the whole world.
But, but that's like the guy in school you hated just because he was who he was. You don't look to see what he's done. But that's another story. Hey, have you ever been, or have you been keeping your guns nice and clean, lubricated the way you should? Of course you haven't. So you have been procrastinating. We know that. Because cleaning your guns with traditional products is smelly and a pain in the you-know-what. So, we suggest you use Seal One. Seal One is an all-in-one product that cleans, lubricates, and protects your firearms. Clean your gun faster, easier, safer with Seal One. No more smelling like gas, and you can enjoy the confidence and peace of mind knowing your guns are protected with the best. Buy some now, seal1.com, and I highly recommend you come to our gun cleaning class July 20th at American Shooters in El Cajon, hosted by Seal One, and you'll get a hands-on try. Just go to San Diego County Gunowners.com and sign up.
Yeah, please do. Hey, so thanks, Thor. It's the Federalist Society. That's what I was trying to think of. Federalist Society is basically the Trump administration said, we're just going to go to you guys. Give us your top 15 picks.
Right, we'll go from
and
there.
we'll pare it down. And that's exactly what you want. The Federalist Society is exactly what you're describing, where you're saying, hey, I don't want somebody political. I just want a judge.
Right. Give me a judge.
Follow the Constitution, follow the law. Mm-hmm. I actually got into a little bit of a back and forth with somebody on. So thanks, Thor. You're awesome, man. But I got into a little bit of a back and forth. Somebody, a friend of mine, posted this big, long statement on democracy and how great democracy is and how important democracy is. And I got to tell you, I think a lot of people are misled on exactly what democracy is. It's fairly dangerous. There's not a whole lot of difference between democracy and mob rule. Here's what he wrote. Listen to this. Tell me what you think of this. Democracy stands as a cornerstone of modern governance, founded on principles of equality, participation, and representation. It empowers citizens to shape their collective destiny through voting and civic engagement, fostering accountability and inclusivity within societies. As a dynamic system, it evolves with societal needs, striving to balance diverse interests while upholding fundamental rights and freedoms. In its essence, democracy champions the voice of the people, ensuring governance that reflects and serves the aspirations of its citizens. So I had a real simple question, and I'll read it again. In its essence, diverse interests while upholding fundamental rights and freedoms. So I had a real simple question to him. How does a democracy uphold fundamental rights and freedoms? Because a democracy, people think of a democracy as like it's kind of sacred. People use that word like it's sacred. Mm-hmm. And, we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional representative republic. Mm-hmm. Now, the representatives are democratically elected, which seems redundant anyway. How else do you elect somebody? Of course it's democratically elected. But anyway, they're democratically elected. But that we're not a democracy. A democracy is mob rule. If you get 50% plus one vote, you get to do whatever you want.
Right. So what did he say?
He didn't have an answer, frankly.
He probably blocked you.
No, he didn't block me. But he kind of went back and forth, and it was like, da. So and he kind of described a constitutional republic without saying the word constitution. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of clues in here, right? First off, just standing up this hard for democracy, I think is a clue as to where somebody stands politically. Principles of equality, participation, representation, diverse interests, a dynamic system. I don't think there's any system that I want to live under where the majority gets to decide what fundamental rights I do and don't have. Just the idea, by calling them fundamental rights suggests that they're objective.
Right.
You don't get a choice.
No, you don't get a choice.
You know what I mean? It's not like, well, this guy doesn't get the right to eat or breathe air.
That's right.
Yeah. Which sounds funny, but the Second Amendment is the right to self-defense.
That's right.
That's the right to breathe air.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. It's exactly what that is. So we went back and forth very respectfully, I think. Very respectfully. And I think he...
Did you convince him?
No, of course not. Nobody ever gets convinced on Facebook. But I think it was, I think there's just some confusion there. Like I said, there's this romantic version of like, well, democracy, we fight for democracy. Oh, it's democracy, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is, the whims of the mob, the only difference between a dictator and a democracy is the number of dictators.
Right. Yeah. No,
that's it. That's the difference.
All right. Should we go to your cousin?
What do you mean?
Or your nephew, I mean.
Oh, my gosh.
I just thought you didn't like him anymore.
Cut me off when I start going on my diatribes.
Would you cut him off?
Somebody stomp on my... All right. Anyway, so thanks for...
Hawk to you.
Thanks for asking the question. All right. Hey, Sam, are you there?
Yeah, how are you guys?
Good, man. You caught me right in the middle of a diatribe.
I was trying to bail you out there, Sam.
How was I doing, Sam?
Pretty good.
All right, thanks.
That was the question.
Sam approved.
We're not going to vote on it.
Because we're a dictator.
Okay, so everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew, blah, 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 blah. Let's get to the question. Alicia, you want to read the question?
I sure will. Hey, Sam. All right.
Hi.
Hey, so here's your question. So we have the question. It comes from Allie from Las Vegas, and they ask, what is a wall gun?
What is a wall gun?
What is a wall gun?
Ellie from Las Vegas, thanks very much for writing in. What is a wall gun? Okay, I'll explain it through analogy. First of all, it's an older type of firearm. You probably don't know what they are if you're listening to this because they don't really exist anymore. If you can imagine a ship, an old-timey sailing ship, made of wood, they would have a small caliber deck gun mounted on the railing on the side of the ship. They would have multiple of these to deter boarders and deal with boarders and to engage at close range with torpedo boats and the like. A wall gun is the exact same thing applied to a fixed position in a land-based application, something you would have on the wall of a fortification or an emplacement to engage at relatively close range with infantry rather than, like an artillery piece that you would use to fire at other emplacements or large formations.
You got it?
Yeah, you got it.
Pretty
Hit
much
the
know.
bell, sunshine.
Do you want to read it? You want to read it?
Wrong.
We're not done yet. That's the wrong
read
button.
Through it quickly. So you're absolutely correct. So here's the definition that we were giving, just to give it all full scope here. We have a wall gun, also known as a rampart or swivel gun, was a large, long-barreled musket used in the 17th and 18th centuries for fort and ship defense. Mounted on walls or fortifications, these guns had greater accuracy and range than standard muskets, firing large caliber bullets to disrupt enemy formations effectively. Their significant weight and size made them impractical as personal defense firearms, but ideal for fixed defensive positions. Wall guns played a crucial role in battles such as those during the American Revolutionary War, providing defenders with powerful advantage against attackers.
So you got it.
That's it.
All that in a bag of chips.
That's it.
Exactly.
Nice job. Why do you know about wall guns?
Decline to answer.
I like that.
Fair enough.
Oh, no, I'm curious.
Yeah, he doesn't want to incriminate himself, maybe.
Oh, he has
All
it
right.
on his wall. His
So,
front porch.
What do you got? Do you have anything to promote?
Blog.
Yep, I've got a blog post going up tomorrow. It's a book review. I probably shouldn't say more because I'll spoil it.
What? A surprise book report?
Okay, no comment.
Book review. Book report is something you do for fourth grade. This is a book review.
Oh, of course.
It's the same thing.
Well, I look forward to reading it.
But we're not telling you what it is.
I'm going to put a grade on it and send it back to you.
You probably
No, yeah, I don't know how well my blog posts are going over. Someone email Michael and he'll tell me. You know how to reach him. But yeah, I don't know if people are liking the book reviews. One of the ones that I put up, I got a good message on Facebook from the author of the book, so
wow.
that helped. But
Which book was it?
you can't tell.
that was Black Rifle 2, now known as America's Rifle. But Mr. Bartacci and I had already been in communication, so he knew of me beforehand.
Hey Sam,
cool.
here's how you got to look at your blogs. They're your blogs. And as long as the majority of the people like them, I know I like them, Mike likes them, Alicia likes them, that's all you need to worry about. If one person doesn't like it, tell them to reread it. Because I think you're doing an awesome job in that.
You're doing a
department.
fantastic job.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to print it out and I'm going to put a grade on it and I'm going to send it to my sister and have her hang it on the refrigerator.
I
Just
love
wait
it.
for him to find it.
I love it.
I
Probably
don't
shouldn't
think
have
you'll
told
I don't think
no.
Yeah, right. Boy, you're going to be on restriction.
Well, it
if
might
it's
be
not an A.
it might be an A. Yeah, you never know.
When have you ever
I thought I was done with that when I finished my bachelor's.
famous last words?
All right, well, cool. So where do you go to SDCGO.org/blog or go to the blog section of Orange County Gun Owners, Inland Empire Gun Owners, and check out his book report tomorrow. And it's a surprise book report, so it should be very interesting. I'm intrigued. I can't wait. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone, and thanks for listening.
You bet. And
Thanks,
happy
Sam.
4th of July.
Yeah.
Happy Independence Day to you, too.
There you go.
Ho. All right. Cool. Good show.
That was a good show. That was interesting.
Smacked your cousin or your nephew. But
But
that's
yeah, it's a whole family affair. I got all kinds
I
of
know you
family.
would.
in there.
okay.
And
Got nobody else to talk to?
And then I went on my whole little rant there.
You did go. But it was interesting. That's why I figured you knew what you were doing.
We need to get like a literal soapbox that I can stand on during this whole show.
I like it.
Yeah, me too.
I can build one.
What are you going to build it out of?
I don't know.
Railroad
Scrap
ties?
wood. I don't know.
What the hell is that?
Well, it's got to
By
be.
the way, for everybody talking about spaghetti,
Yes.
Denny's is gone. Go to Sauced in Pacific Beach.
Where's that at?
It's on like Ingram and
Is it good?
That
Can you
other
smell it when you're coming up to it?
no. It's like it used to be Moreno's. You know, it was like that old Italian place, and now it's
what
called
are you doing at
Sauced.
Pacific Beach?
That was my old stomping grounds, man.
Was it really?
Yeah, back in the '90s.
You ever go to the Coaster Saloon?
Which one's the Coaster Saloon?
World famous?
World famous, sure.
Yeah. The Green
I remember.
Flash.
Remember. Oh, of course. Remember the Rusty Pelican?
Yeah. Did
Oh,
you ever
man.
see the Green Flash?
I've seen I saw a Green Flash, but I was in Ocean Beach.
I seen it right there at
Yeah.
the restaurant at the Green Flash twice.
I saw a Green Flash down in Imperial Beach too.
Did you really?
It was amazing. Yeah.
Were you sober?
Oh, of course I'm always sober. I don't drink.
Well, you got to watch it. Sometimes that Green Flash will get you.
Thanks for watching this episode from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns and the Second Amendment. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just do a search for Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Click on the links in the show notes and support the businesses that support your Second Amendment rights. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.